Now we are going to talk about Indian political institutions. The coming of the Turks and the Mughals brought in new ideas of sovereignty and governance. In the first place, kingship itself had no clear-cut legitimate place in the Islamic conception of polity, which was based on the notion of a community of equals. Initially, power was shared between the Sultan and the powerful Turkish chiefs or nobles. But the reign of Balban saw an elevation of the position of the Sultan, so much so that he assumed absolute power in all matters of state and governance. The power of the Turkish nobility downsized. The Mughals established the power and the prestige the Mughals established the power and prestige of the king at an unprecedented level. The sultans of Delhi and the Mughal emperors made some innovations in the administrative system. The Mughal emperor came to be regarded as the emperor of India. In the Delhi Sultanate, military commanders were assigned territorial units known as iqtas. These territories were transferable. The assignees of these iqtas were not given ownership of the land, but only control over the revenue collected from them. This revenue was to be used by the iqtadar, that is, the assignee to meet his own requirements as well as for the maintenance of his troops. He would then be expected to provide military support with these troops whenever called upon by the emperors to do so. However, the pre-existing structure of control over land and the hierarchy of the landed system of the village continued largely undisturbed. The Mughal system was more penetrative with control over the revenue and landed network going much deeper right to the village level. The Mughals appointed Mansabdars who performed military and civil duties the Mansabs were actually ranks of position which was fixed according to the position of the officers in Mughal bureaucracy and the military contingents under their command. These Mansabdars were mostly paid through land assignments called Jagirs. Which were frequently transferable. These were similar to iktas with the difference that while iktas combined administrative charge Jagirs did not. The Mughal system was crucially dependent on the smooth functioning of Mansabdari and Jagirdari systems. Now we will talk about Indian economy. The Delhi Sultanate as well as the Mughal Empire was based on the surplus of agricultural produce of the peasants that was extracted in the form of revenue. In the Mughal Empire, particularly in the reign of Akbar. Far-reaching changes were made in the system of revenue collection. Land was measured and land revenue was fixed according to the exact area of land. Fertility of the land was also taken into account. The cash value of the state's share of the produce was then calculated according to prevailing market prices. And the revenue was fixed in cash terms accordingly. The state encouraged payment of revenue in cash. This was a period of commercialization of agriculture and the state encouraged cash crop production. The states also took a lot of interest in the extension of cultivation into zones which were hitherto uncultivated or forest areas. It gave various incentives to pioneer agriculturists. The state also advanced to peasants loan as well as revenue relief in times of crop failure. Trade and commerce, which had declined greatly, following the period of the Guptas, saw a revival during this time. Urban centers flourished after a considerable period of decline. Inland trade increases in the 13th and 14th centuries. As a result of this new urbanization, a vast network of road connecting these urban centers came up, which also facilitated trade. Cities like Delhi, Agra, Lahore, Multan, Dhaka, Ahmedabad, Surat and Bombay rose in importance. Merchandise from Punjab was sent to markets in West and Central Asia. Political stability and relative peace established by the Mughals made it possible to travel with considerable ease among the cities of the empire. Coastal trade also flourished. There were a large number of trading classes and commercial practices were of high standard and integrity. The Seths, Bohras and Modis were engaged in long distance trade, while Bioparis and Baniks dealt in local and retail trade. The Sarafs or Shroffs were money changers who issued hundis or bill of exchange. The hundi was a letter of credit that could be paid at a later date at the designated place. This facilitated the movement of goods from one part of the country to another, as it made the transaction of money over long distance remarkably easy. Now we will talk about Indian cultural and religious life. In the sphere of religion and culture, the medieval period witnessed a great synthesis of traditions. The Bhakti movement and Sufism in the religious sphere are examples of this. The Bhakti movement, which stressed on oneness with God through personal devotion, came very close to the everyday lives of ordinary people. It stressed on love, purity, and devotion rather than rituals and sacrifices. It questioned the caste system and the authority of Brahmins. Bhakti saints like Ramananda, Kabir, Ravidas, Mirabai, Guru Nanak, Tukaram and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a deep impact on the mind of the common people, and this influence continues even today. In fact, some of these saints developed large following. For example, Guru Nanak had deep influence over the people of Punjab. His large following led him to found a new religion called Sikhism, whose followers are called Sikhs. In a similar manner, the Sufi saints also stressed on devotion and love as the only way to realize the divine. They preached tolerance and compassion. They lived lives of austerity and shared the sorrows and anxieties of the common masses. As a result, their influence over the masses, both Hindus and Muslims, was very strong. There was also a lot of interaction between the Sufi and Bhakti saints, and exchange of philosophical ideas took place. Both traditions, in fact, acted as a bridge between the two communities. In this video, we talked about medieval Indian civilization, Indian political events, Indian political institutions, Indian economy, Indian cultural and religious life. I hope you have understood it well. Thank you.